The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
Welcome to another edition of the Pennsylvania High School Football Report Podcast. I'm Brian Linder. I'm here with Dan Sostek. Dan, with a Murray voice.
Can we still talk? Yeah, I can talk.
Yep, Lemley voice.
Hello, world.
So now if you hear them in the podcast, you'll know who they are. I'm not going to plug our long-time listeners. You know why, guys? Because, of course, you guys know why. This is going to be a separate podcast, you guys, but we've now been talking football for about an hour and a half. And now we're going to kick it to some statewide guys because Friday the season starts off. But, you know, we've already got one kind of breaking news podcast that's coming out earlier, where Eric Epler kind of goes over the eligibility of Harrisburg quarterback, all-state defensive back, Sean Lee Jr., a pit commit. That ruling was given by the PIAA today. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, make sure you check out that podcast at PennLive.com. Some more big statewide news that Dan Sostek discovered as we're kind of coming in this podcast. Dan, what are you learning here?
I just saw a tweet from Keyshawn Robinson, Westinghouse star. He's small but mighty, as people would say. I think he's 5'10", maybe, but a nationally ranked recruit in a lot of services. Tweeted 39 minutes ago, due to injury, I will not be playing this season. Just pretty short and to the point. I don't mean to be laughing at that, news, but just real bummer for Westinghouse.
Terrible loss. Yeah.
Epp and I were on Joe Gilloway's Lingostown Gazette page show. We kind of were talking a little bit about national stuff, and one thing we mentioned was just I don't know if there's a coach that's done a better job in the state than Dante Green has done at Westinghouse the last few years. Just getting a city league team to multiple state title games is a really, really big ask, and he has done it and almost had them. He's had, one of the best programs in the country on the ropes with a program that, hasn't had a ton of success. And I think they still are due for a big year this year, but losing Keyshawn Robinson in a pretty tough, that's a pretty tough classification. It might not be kind of in our area, but it's a pretty tough classification. You kind of need those margins, right? So that's going to be a big loss for them.
Well, Westinghouse was the 1A number one, right? They're moving down, Apple. When they did 1A number one in your rankings?
1A number one, preseason, absolutely, yep.
So, I mean, you're looking at probably a preseason state title favorite, obviously, and they're losing a nationally ranked player. So, the Sean Lee Jr. Eligibility news for Harrisburg was a blow. That could affect the 6A state outlook. The Keyshawn Robinson injury, another blow that could affect the 1A state outlook. It's Wednesday. When we're recording this, and Friday's football season officially in big news, potentially state title changing type of news here, just 2 days out. Guys, we talked a lot about, we're our hyper-local in Harrisburg, but we are the PA High School Football Report. So I wanted to kind of bring us on here too and just talk about some statewide guys that people might want to be looking at and kind of keep an eye on as this season gets going. And, I was looking at quarterbacks, and we talked a little bit about, Stone Saunders. We talked a lot about him being at Bishop McDevitt and having a chance to break a lot of the state records. But if you look down the list of quarterbacks in the state, Gavin Sidwar, who's at LaSalle College, is a Rutgers commit. Peyton Falzoni at Nazareth is a Virginia Tech commit. Matt Zollers, Springford, is a Missouri commit, and the top-ranked quarterback in the state. And then Samaj Bills from Roman Catholic, the 5A number one in your poll, Epler. He shot down boards a little bit in recruiting rankings, but he had an Alabama offer. Some really good quarterbacks. There's some other guys too. Anybody you guys want to anybody that sticks out to you guys there? Anybody you want to throw in the mix as a must watch and talk about what makes them special?
Well, Falzoni was the one I was going to mention. And, he's only a sophomore. He committed early. He's a class of 27. Is that right? Is my math right?
I think they moved him ahead because I think I was telling Dan last night. I'm going to pull that up as you talk. Go ahead and talk about. He's 6'5", like 200 pounds, I think.
He's a big boy, yeah, 6'5", 200. Class 26, so yeah. So he'd be a junior. Yes. That's why I write, because I can't add. So yeah, he's a guy too. And Nazareth, again, they typically downplay. I was speaking with Keith Grohl Sunday on the radio show, on Keith's radio show Sundays, and about Nazareth basically downplaying, the guy they have. But they've got 16 seniors back in the mix. A lot of those guys are going to protect Falzone, and they've got probably 3 of the 5 offensive line back, 3 of the 4 defensive line guys back. A lot of talent around the QB. So that's a team that we're pretty high on preseason wise. It's, when you talk about the EPC, we talk in reverent tones about the Commonwealth, and rightfully so. If the Commonwealth division isn't the best big school division in the land, the EPC is. It's just a tremendously brutal division to get through. I always talk about Allentown Central Catholic being the only 4A school, and Bethlehem Catholic, I'm sorry, too, is there. In that EPC South, but you're talking about Freedom and Emmaus and Parkland and Nazareth, and the list goes on. And I think Nazareth is the toast of that division, at least starting out. Parkland's always there too. Liberty's going to be good. Freedom's going to be good. So it's going to be a gauntlet again for them. But Falzone's an interesting guy, really versatile, and he gives them an edge for sure.
Dan, any quarterbacks you want to throw in the mix here? Like I said, I don't think we should talk a ton about the Mid-Penn guys because we talked about them so much in depth on the last podcast. We'll mention their names as being in the mix here, but anybody, do you want to throw in the mix here, Dan?
My eyes are open a little bit about this Javen Peel kid, right? Because Central Catholic went after him, and then he went back to Western Beaver, right? And I think he's all good now, and I think that kind of tells you what Bill Wibiel thinks about the kid, right? If Central Catholic wanted him to play quarterback, I think he set some freshman records in that conference. Just going to be a sophomore this year. He's a kid that I wonder if he could make a big leap. Western Beaver, obviously not some powerhouse program, right? But it is one that now clearly has a quarterback that's on people's radars. So that's a kid that I'm looking at to see if he can make a big leap this year.
Goretti has a quarterback, Deontay Ruffin, 6'3", 230, who's apparently committed to Kent State. I haven't watched a ton of his film, but maybe a name to watch there too. We know Goretti looks like he was at Camden High School heading into this year. So I'll tell you another guy. I've always thought it's really good. I think he had to sit out a year because of a transfer. But Luke Costco, who's at Thomas Jefferson, he's 6'4", 210. He's a baseball commit to Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's a pretty darn good football player too.
Yeah, he's another guy who's versatile too. I mean, you mentioned about his baseball scholarship. I really only know him as a baseball guy. But yeah, I mean, having, TJ's kind of, I don't want to say they're rebuilding, but they're in that pocket where, talk a lot about the parity in the Whippeal and who's going to come out of there. TJ's probably, based on the graduation loss, is probably on the outside right now looking in, but it's still Thomas Jefferson. It's a tremendous program. They find ways to be competitive and win games, once in a while that they shouldn't. So I expect them to be in the mix for, until the Whippeals get around and then all hell breaks loose. But yeah, he's an interesting guy.
I'll mention too, Nolan DeLucia had a good season last year at Peters Township. Good player, they should be in the mix. And then Jalen Harris at Chester has put up like some video game numbers.
Yeah,
different times in his career, and they were pretty good last year. Those are 2 other quarterbacks I would look outside of the Mid-Penn. Again, you guys want to hear about the Mid-Penn kids? There's definitely some Mid-Penn kids who factor into the statewide look, but we covered them in the last podcast. So head out at PennLive.com. Guys, wide receivers, I feel like the Mid-Penn probably has 2 of the best in Lex Cyrus and Elias Koch. Michael Scott's a guy, I think, from Dallastown. He's an Arizona State commit, or a speedster. I think you throw in there, he's a senior. He can get after it. Anybody else, we're thinking of there, you guys want to throw in there? I know you liked the kid from LaSalle, Julian McFadden.
Yeah, because I know that still not really sure exactly what position Joey O'Brien is playing at, because I didn't really see to it, but he's a highly ranked recruit. But when I saw LaSalle play, I always thought Julian McFadden looked like a really next level kid, and he's committed to Syracuse now, so clearly is. Excited to see how he does against some really good Harrisburg secondary next coming up. So yeah, I think that's one that I would point to as a potential guy as well.
Yep, Ash Roberts is a kid at Roman Catholic who got some some good offers, and I think he's going to probably catch a lot of balls from Samaj Beals this year. I think he's pretty good. And then Jaleel Hall, 6'4", 190-pounder at Bonner Prendy. He's listed as a wide receiver, defensive end. He can get it done on both sides of the ball. I like those guys. Anybody else we throwing in the mix here?
A wide receiver?
Yeah.
I mean, you named some pretty damn good ones. I mean,
let's keep it moving. I think tight ends not as deep a class as we've seen before, but the top guy by far, Michigan commit Andrew Olesh. Anybody else we're throwing in the mix there, guys? Southern Lehigh tight end.
Tight end's a tough one because I feel like a lot of the top tight ends are just kids that basically are wide receivers that end up becoming tight ends at the next. Like, you don't get a ton of elite tight ends, I feel like.
6'5", 215. He can get it done. Obviously, if you're going to Michigan, you can get it done. I think the deepest position well, let's go to running back before we get there.
Yeah.
Back's deep. Isaiah Wells from St. Joe's Prep is an Ohio State commit. You definitely want to see him. Got all the tools. Jabri Wallace-Coleman is a Penn State commit at Emotep. Tikey Hayes, who we have on, it's going to be our guest. I'll go ahead and foreshadow here from Aliquippa. I know you guys love him. Messiah Mickens at Harrisburg. Tim Monspell, I'm very high on at McKeesport. 2027 guys at Penn State commit. I love Jared Porter. I'm putting him in the mix statewide too, mid-Penn guy. Any of those guys jumping off the list to you? Anybody else you want to throw in that mix, guys?
Well, I think Kamon Spell was ranked recently as a 5-star running back by 24/7 as a sophomore, so he's going to be one to definitely keep an eye out. Hayes, obviously, we know the type of player Tikey is, so
he might be the most explosive running back in the state. Go watch his film.
Yeah, Spell. I mean, Penn State seems to know what they're doing, getting the running backs from the state of PA. So I imagine he'll be a pretty good one.
He can go.
Yeah.
So, and Jabri Wallace-Coleman, Emotep's one of those schools that has a bunch of running backs, but I thought in the state title game he showed what he could do. He was special. Isaiah West, we've talked about this before, guys. I think he's the most interesting guy in all this. He's an Ohio State commit. You hear so much about him. He had only 800 yards rushing last year, and they had a running back made the big 33 game off of that team, and another running back who I think went to Towson off of that team. But he's got all the tools, right? I mean, you guys have seen him. He looks the part.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if Ohio State's going to St. Joe's Prep, I think they're pretty confident in what they're getting out of there, considering the last guy they got from there. So, in Marvin Harrison.
You got to pick one running back out of the state right now to go to war with. Who you picking?
Tikey Hayes. I'm going with the guy that wins and shows up in the big games, and I think you could make an argument for any of them, but he put on a show at the state championships a year ago. He's the big game player, and I'm going with him.
Yeah, the Aliquippa running back, I think he's special. I know you like him a lot.
I do like Tikey Hayes a lot. I would not deviate from that pick.
I think that two would be maybe Jabri Wallace-Coleman, and then Kim. I'm in love with Kim Monspell.
If I had to pick a second choice, it'd be West. That would be my second choice. But Jabri Wallace-Coleman is pretty damn good too.
The prep kids are we always say, but the prep kids are hard to properly evaluate because they don't get the same amount of reps as the other kids.
Right.
They've got like 10 all-stars at every position. So
yeah.
Some other names real quick. I'll just throw out there. Siobhan Anderson over New York had a really good year last year. Elijah Faulkner, Central Catholic, had a really good year. Eric Dover is a kid who's had some really good years. And
did you mention Marquez Wimberly?
Marquez Wimberly's a guy. Yeah. And Justice Hardy. Wanda Missing's really high on the Justice Hardy kid. He's a young guy.
He's a good player.
So that's your kind of your running back rundown. Offensive lineman, I think, is an interesting position. We obviously have two of the top guys in the mid-pen with Tyler Mill and Kevin Brown. And then you look at the list, Shep Turk is a pit commit. I don't think it's as deep as it has been outside of those guys in past years. You look at a guy like Brendan Alexander at Central Valley. You see some Central Valley. Central Valley's got a good running back too, Jance Henry. Michael Carroll is interesting. I think Michael Carroll's the IMG now. Did I see that?
I did not, but
I didn't see that. No,
it wouldn't surprise me just to get even close because he's headed to Alabama, right? So
yeah,
get a little closer to Alabama your senior year.
Yeah, let me look this up as we're talking.
There's another while you're looking that up, I know that there's a younger offensive lineman on Coatesville, Maxwell Hiller, that I haven't seen a ton of, but I know that this recruiting services are really high on as a sophomore. I think he's a 2027 kid. Coatesville tends to produce some good players, and I imagine usually when recruiting services target the offensive lineman this young, they tend to not miss on them. So I imagine he's going to be a pretty big. I think he's a 4-star top 50 recruit already in that class. So
here's one that we haven't reported. Michael Kell, I'm looking at his Twitter, 6'6", 310 pounds, number 1 guard in the country, Alabama commit, Central Bucks West now says IMG Academy.
Yeah.
And he's wearing the jersey. So there's a big loss for in-state, but great player. I think he's a legacy kid. His dad played at Penn State, I believe. He's an Alabama guy. Won't be playing in the state this year, but he's worth keeping an eye on. So I think the deepest position in the state, if you're looking for some names and guys to keep an eye on this year, is probably defensive line. And Ep and Dan, I've been reading off some names, but there are a couple names that jump off the board immediately, right?
yeah. I mean, why am I blanking on the Emotep?
Well, here in Mathis.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Mathis,
I was about to say Anai White. I was mixing them up with. Yeah, they have too many good defensive line. I mean, he's got to be the first one you think of, right? Yeah, just an absolute menace. I still remember we were at that McDevitt game against Emotep a few years ago, and McDevitt ends up winning the state title. And McDevitt, that might have been one of the, I don't know, Ep's the McDevitt historian, but that had to have been one of McDevitt's better offensive lines ever, right? Like,
yeah, it was good.
And he just completely, as a freshman, tore that. Him and Jasir Whittington kind of tore that offensive line apart in that week 1 game, and he's only gotten better. A Texas A&M commit right now. We'll see if that holds, but I think he's obviously the headliner. I think Jaren Brown could be a defensive line All-State player if he focused on that too. So
I thought Zahir was at Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah.
He's
I should mix him up with Anai White.
The top 2 defensive linemen in the state, him and Maxwell Roy, who's a bad boy on the inside, man. That's a bad dude on the inside and a bad dude on the edge. And Zahir Mathis, I think both of those guys. Max Roy is at St. Joe's Prep. The 2 Philly guys are headed to Ohio State right now. I know, pretty sure Penn State's trying to get Zahir Mathis out of that fold, but 2 really good defensive linemen there up.
Yeah, I think they're trying to probably bag the junior too, Haskell. I think it's Alex Haskell.
Yes.
At St. Joe's Prep, 6'3", like probably 240 now, maybe something around there. Don't quote me on that. But I know he's a Penn State target. He's got a Miami offer as well, Duke, I think, and a couple more. I think he's like 7 or 8, up to like 7 or 8 offers as an incoming junior this year. So he's a guy too. And, Aliquippa's got a couple big boys coming back too. Brahim Battles is a guy that's probably not listed on the on maybe the top things, but he's a Maryland commit, 325 pounds that can move. So there's a couple guys for you that you definitely want to keep an eye out, or at least if they're coming, just get out of the way.
Another guy who I think's underrated, has had some good college attention, though, Landon Strange at Cheltenham. I'm pretty sure that he is Keanu Wright's brother, who went to Delaware, was a pretty good defensive end from them. They said, I mean, Starlight is his mom, and she's a great story. She's the defensive line coach, or was at Cheltenham, and also plays women's professional football, or did.
You know who want to hear that is my mother, who's a Cheltenham alum. So she's a big football fan. So
there you go.
She'll be glad to hear there's I'll get off this call and tell her about to go read about Starlight. So
we had Starlight on this podcast, a couple 2 years ago, I think, with Nettie and I.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Kevin Brickle, Malvern Prep kids. I think he got an Alabama offer recently. So he's pretty good. Christopher Climbs, who I think said Elizabeth Ford, defensive tackle out west, is a pretty good player. I think he might be a Marshall commit. If not, I know he's getting some offers. Really interesting guy to me too is Van Caval's out west. I think he even played some quarterback for them at one time. But he's a big dude, big defensive lineman with some college offers as well. Those are a couple names that pop off the top of my head from statewide. Brady O'Hara's out there. I don't know if he's going to play offensive line or defensive line. But there's some good guys on the defensive front. Anybody else we want to throw out there? People might want to watch.
I think that's something you did it.
Linebacker 3D2, Cam Smith just flipped from the St. Joseph Prep kid to Penn State. Deshaun Burnett, Monty Christian kid is a Penn State commit. Saka's Ohio. Anthony Saka at St. Joseph Prep is Ohio State.
Yeah.
Alex Tash is committed. I forget where he's committed. Penn State, right?
Yeah.
And he's a great linebacker. Mickey Vaccarello is a I want to say like a Stanford commit. We got some really good linebackers. It actually may be deeper than your defensive line class.
Well, linebacker is traditionally a very strong Pennsylvania position.
Everyone grows up Steelers fans.
Yeah, if you get a chance to, Colson Gatton is only a junior, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and that guy's a beast. And he's, Penn State, Nebraska, Notre Dame, I think Michigan State, all are pining for his services, and he's only junior. He's a guy to watch. I have not gotten a chance to see him in person yet. I've just watched highlights of the film. He's going to be a special player to watch this year. So he'd be one guy I would put in that mix at linebacker for sure. And you mentioned Gall. Gall's not the biggest guy, but he's a ball hawk, and he's fun to watch for State College. So Michael Gall and Gatton would be two guys I would mark.
Yeah, and I've heard good things about Bradley Gompers too from Central Catholic. I think he's a Duke commit. That's another guy that I at that position that I think someone to watch out for.
Another young guy, Davion Taylor, is a West Virginia guy. I remember he's a freshman. He only had like 14 or 15 sacks, and he was messaging me wanting to know why we didn't have him on some list we had.
He's at Quips, right?
What's that?
He's with the Quips.
No, he went back. He went back. I think
he went back. All right.
I think he transferred to Aliquippa and back, I believe.
With that. Wherever he's at, find the name, Davion Taylor. He's a really good football player. Linebacker is a strong position, as Epler said. It's a Pennsylvania position. Defensive back, we took a hit there. We talk about we started this saying Kashawn Robinson from Westinghouse is out. Matt Sieg, who had on the podcast, we didn't mention him at quarterbacks. We probably should have, because he's going to make most of his noise running that football for Fort Cherry, and you definitely want to catch him there. He's really a defensive back recruit. Don't miss him. Anybody else you guys want to throw in here?
There's a couple guys out west. David Davis is a guy that you can put anywhere. I think he's listed at least at 247 Sports. He's listed as an athlete, but he's a guy to check out too. And yeah, there's a number of defensive backs.
Xavier Thomas is a Penn State commit, and then a guy we're going to be talking a little bit, Tikey, about Larry Moon, third at Aliquippa, is really coming on. Samir Locks, I think, too, at Emotep is a guy that a lot of people like.
And to put a bow on Davion Taylor, left Bishop Canevin, transferred to Aliquippa. Mike White reported on August 6th he went back to Canevin, and now there's reports again that he's staying at Aliquippa. So it looks like it's gone back and forth. It's ping pong, but it seems like he's back at Aliquippa again. So who knows? We'll see. We'll see in 2 days, right?
That was great. Yeah.
There's a handful of guys that you definitely want to be keeping an eye on across the state this year. We're going to get more in depth with them, and about the state, as we go on. But like I said, we've been on a marathon today for sure. I think that's a good little viewer's guide, some names to write down and jot down and look up if you want to see some fun films, some top-rated guys. We're going to get to one of those guys right here with our interview, a guy that I know we all really like. Not only is Tikey Hayes, Aliquippa running back, a special running back. He's been special for 4 years since he was a freshman. He's going to be a senior now. This is his senior year. He's a Penn State commit. Anytime we ask the guy for an interview or to come on, he's ready to go. Great kid, great player. Guys, let's get to the interview now with Tikey Hayes from Aliquippa.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
All right, guys, this week we have our very special guest, Aliquippa running back Tikey Hayes. Tikey, I talked to you after your sophomore year. I swear it feels like you've been in high school 8 years, but it's because you've been doing it since you were a freshman, man, and
Yeah.
numbers. And you've had one heck of a run here. You're now committed to Penn State. I know my guys, Dan Sostek here and Eric Epler, are big fans of you too after watching you in the state title game a couple times, man. Last year round, how you feeling going into this year with the Crips, man? Looks like you guys got another squad.
This the last year, you know what I'm saying? I feel like when we go to states again, I ain't going to take my jersey off. You know, this is a heck of a run, heck of a historical run that I've been having. So I'm looking to keep it going. Yeah, we had a couple people that left out of Copa like in middle school that they all came back. You know, for the last 2 years of high school, last 3 years of high school, and yeah, we put together a sound team. You know, we all got together through camp and conditioning. You know what I'm saying? Building that brotherly bond that we somewhat lost. So we got out of back, and we like a well-oiled machine now.
Larry Moon's one of those guys, right? I've been hearing
Yeah.
about Larry Moon.
Mhm.
I mean, what can you tell me about that kid?
Larry's he's a good player. You know, he's very coachable. He do whatever you tell him to do. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be on an island. You know, he's the type of guy that don't need help. You know what I'm saying? That's like he got one side of the field. We not worried about. Say if he on the right side, we wouldn't worry about the right side of the field. You know what I'm saying? So that's what kind of player Larry is. He's a lockdown guy. So he's gonna be guarding the best receiver week in and week out. So we trusted him because he's astonishable. If you see him work out at a camp, you can like, dang, something different about him.
Yeah, up and down for our listeners who don't know Atlanta State. Larry's like a young guy. I think he's
Yeah.
going in sophomore year, and he's a
hmm
really ranked type corner.
Yeah.
Who's looking to be special. Uh, I'll ask one more, then I'll let these guys hop in. You guys obviously, Coach Warfield's taking a year off, at least a year off. I got a new coach in there. What's that transition been like? And man, I watched the first time you guys beat Bishop McDevitt in the state championship. That's
hmm
what Warfield gave you guys, man. I wanted to run through a brick wall, about how you couldn't buy what you guys had there. What was it like playing for him, and what's the transition like been going to your new coach?
Playing for Warfield, it's definitely tough. You know what I'm saying? But on Friday night, you see why it's tough being coached by him. Like that's a coach that's like they got a police background, so it's gonna be obviously it's gonna be real tough. When you train in, it's gonna be like police training, which is one of the hard things to do in the world. So it's definitely got its ups and downs with Coach Warfield. And our new coach is almost the same because they've been on a he been assistant head coach when Warfield was the head coach. So it's like they're both the same. They're both perfectionists. They want things to be perfect. If we don't do the one thing right, we got to keep doing it over and over and over again. But you think you're supposed to hate it, but we love that because we know how good we can be. So we want to do everything we got to do, and they pushes and our new coach pushes us to do that, just like Warfield did.
Hey, Tikey, it's Dan here. So I went to college up in Western PA, went to the University of Pittsburgh graduate. So I've heard a lot. I've obviously going up there. I knew a lot about the Quips and everything. And you
Mhm.
always hear people get like the former Quip superstars and all the Hall of Famers. Everyone always gets asked about what makes Aliquippa this much of a football town. Why does it like constantly produce this level of talent? So I'm going to ask you: could be the next in line to be the next superstar from Aliquippa. What do you think has made your town the way it is to where guys like Ty Law, Curtis Martin, all those people continually just come out from a school that should be like a 3A, 4A school?
Mhm. Going through all the adversity that we go through, you know what I'm saying? It's a very hardship town, and when people go through hard things, they tend to be good. They tend to be real good at something. So you know what I'm saying? And it's like the whole entire community is surrounded with football because no matter where you're from, what you do, or what side of town you're from, on Friday night everybody come together to watch the Quip. So I feel like that's the biggest thing is our community that keeps it going and makes us good.
Yeah, it must be pretty empowering too, because it seems like all those stars who are from Aliquippa stay involved with Aliquippa, right? Like they're
Yeah.
constantly giving back to the community. That's super cool. And then just talking about the team a little. I know that obviously you're the big name at running back, but you got a pretty good running mate too, right? Sanir Brooks, a younger player,
Mhm.
I think is starting to generate some interest. Seems like he might be the next in line. What have you seen from him as kind of, I think he's a class of 2027 kid, right?
Mhm.
What do you think people can expect from him when you're gone in Happy Valley?
Scenario, he a real good football player. You know what I'm saying? He's a running back that's going. He not gonna go around you. He not gonna go to the side of you. He gonna try to go right through you. You know what I'm saying? He gets moving, he gets moving. So he definitely got a real bright future, like a real bright future.
Tikey, we always discuss who's moving to different classifications and things like that. I know it was a
Mhm.
heck of an off season for you guys, whether you were going to stay in 4A or get bounced up to 5A. As far as players go, did you worry about that at all? I mean, obviously, I don't get the sense that you guys shy away from playing anybody, let alone whatever
No.
class they are. But how taxing was that on you guys as players, or was it at all?
I mean, no, we really didn't care about it, you know what I'm saying? Because whoever we play is whoever we play, you know what I'm saying? If we gotta play the Steelers on Friday night, 7 p.m., we gonna be there. We're not gonna shy away from no competition, you know what I'm saying? And plus, it would have been a boost for us playing a 5A because they say all the good teams in 5A, so it would have been good playing 5A and to show that we really is the best.
Tomlin definitely would have been on a hot seat if he lost the Quips on Friday night. That's for sure. Can you take us through your decision? Obviously, Penn State,
Okay.
a monster institution, obviously a monster football program, one of the best in the country. I mean, you had your pick of the litter on where you was to go. Take us a little bit behind your decision to commit to Penn State.
I just loved everything about it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I kept visiting. I kept visiting to see more and more and more and more. And then after I seen everything, I was like, "This is where I want to be." I loved it. It's like a home environment. It's like a home away from home.
I'm sure the folks at Pitt had to be a little upset with you.
Yeah, Cam, the linebacker that's up there now, Cam, he didn't talk to me like the whole entire week because he already knew where I was going, so he didn't talk to me like the whole week.
Okay, Lizzie.
Like even in practice. He's supposed to tell me the coverage. He didn't tell me the coverage is nothing. He was mad at me.
That's a good Pitt Panther right there, as a
Yes.
Pitt Panther.
Heading into Penn State, man, they got you committed. Messiah Mickens is next year. Kim Montspell now is committed. I've been watching that last film. He's special. They got a couple good backs there now. I mean, there's going to be some good competition there, man. How are you embracing that, and what are you doing to get ready for the next level?
I'm getting ready for me to get ready for next level. I'm starting to like run routes like the wide receiver more because the running backs is like it's not all run the ball now. It's like you got to catch out the backfield. So I definitely been working on all of that, catching out the backfield, running routes, all that. Our coach put me on wide receiver for a couple plays, all of that. So
You are a powerful dude, man. For people who haven't seen you play, like how would you how would you describe your running style, or who do you think you compare to?
I think I run like Isaiah Pacheco, but people say I run like Barry Sanders. I got a mix. I can shake you or I can run through you. So
Yeah, I think you're I almost see a little bit like a Ezekiel Elliott in you a little bit, man.
yeah,
Awful, and you kind of got that like how much better are you think going in this senior year than we've seen in the past? Because we've seen you've been pretty special through the first 3 years. What have you really improved? I know you say you're working on route running and stuff like that, but what do you think we can expect from you this year?
surely my speed. People don't know me for being, I guess, a fast guy. Even though I'm one of the fastest in Olympia in track, but people don't think I'm that fast. So I'm gonna show a lot of people.
And be a little honest. I mean, I know that you're fine with where you guys are, and like you said, you play anybody you want. But we're here in Central PA. Is there a part of you that's a little upset you won't get to settle that rubber match with Bishop McDevitt in a state title situation this year? I mean, those are some fun games, some high level games where it felt like one team would take control and the other team would make a late push, and And that line, those are always really fun for us to cover because who knows, probably 5-6 NFL players on the field at once.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that wishes you got one more crack at them?
Yeah, for sure. We were supposed to finish the trilogy last year, but they got bumped off. So
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit. They wasn't scared. They was a little scared. So they tried to get embarrassed before getting really embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Those are the fun games, 'cause you know what I'm saying? People don't really want to watch a blowout. They want to watch a good game.
Yeah.
So I feel like those games are definitely going to be missed.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you may we're going to be hearing about that because Bishop McDevitt's like right out our back door. So now we're going to be hearing from the McDevitt folks about that one.
I'm just saying. I have a passionate hate for them. I don't like them. I hate Bishop McDevitt.
We cover everybody, and look, we've had, and I want to say I appreciate it. Tikey's had a lot of attention since he was a freshman, and pretty much every time I reached out to him, we did a story after his sophomore year, I think. And pretty much every time I've reached out to him, he's been gracious with his time and came on here, man. It's been fun. This has been one heck of a ride from your really special career you've had in high school. When you look back at it now, as you're getting ready to kind of wrap this thing up, what sticks out in your mind? What's been most special about your time at Aliquippa and your high school career, you think?
There's definitely been some ups and downs, you know what I'm saying? But the great parts of my high school career has just been the bond that I made, because these are the guys that's going to be probably in my wedding one day. You know what I'm saying? Football brought me a long way. High school football has brought me a long way. It made me meet a lot of new people. Definitely changed the way how I act, you know what I'm saying? You have to be more presentable because now I'm a leader. I'm a leader amongst the state. So it's definitely been challenging, but I love the ride. I love the ride so far. Definitely meeting, because in little league, you want to play with most of the guys that you play with now. So me playing with like DJ Crowder and all of them, that was like, I love them times.
What he just said, about these guys being his wedding and all that, you don't get as much as that with high school football anymore. I bet. Did you have? That's the throwback. That's what high school football is really about, right? When you get down to it, like the relationships and bonds. And you went to a small school, Tikey. Did you ever have any of these other bigger schools trying to get you out of Aliquippa, these high schools and stuff, and recruit you out of there and stuff like that?
Nah. I ain't never run into that.
They didn't come after you. All right.
Nah.
That's what's special, I think, when you talk about, those smaller schools, though, guys and guys staying together. That, he's talking about these teammates will be in his wedding and stuff. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, look, the form.
Yeah, Tikey, did I see on I think I saw, did the vice president come visit your football team recently? Did that just happen?
Yeah. She was talking about, she was talking, I did not know what she was talking about. It was like politics and stuff. I was like, oh, I don't know what she talking about.
I
was listening.
That's a good diplomatic answer. You're like, she was there, and I don't know what she was saying. So
I know a little bit, but I didn't know, like, when she started talking about politicians. I don't know. I was listening though. I was trying to. I was cooked. I was trying to though.
What was that like? That was pretty. I mean, not everybody gets. What was that like having her at your practice?
So look, at first I didn't know. Like I was driving up there, and all I see is state trooper here. I'm like, somebody got in trouble. And then I go up to it, the Secret Service. I said, somebody come in. And then all our teachers was like, yeah, come on, Eric. And I was like, oh snap. This is that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So that's something you can't pass up on.
Yeah, awesome.
You're gonna have a lot of those once in a lifetime opportunities, my man. Dan, you got anything else for Tikey?
No, man, just stay safe, play well, and we'll probably see you back at Chapman Field there in December.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion.
It's been a lot of fun watching, my man, and maybe we'll get you back on here. If you guys can get back to Chapman Field, maybe we can get you back on here before you hit there.
Oh, for sure. Just text me and I'll be there for you.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right, guys, that was Tikey Hayes. What did we learn? How are we feeling about Tikey and the Clips this year, guys?
He doesn't like McDevitt, that's for sure.
Don't ask us, McDevitt. We didn't tell him to say it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the good thing that I think the reason he feels like he can say it is because he knows he's never going to have to play him again. So, not that he's afraid of him, but there's never going to be any sort of. He's never going to really run into any McDevitt kid. Well, actually, he might. He's going to run into some at the next level, I imagine. So, maybe that'll lead to some feud in Happy Valley against some other Big Ten schools or whatever. So that'll be fun.
He might take comfort in knowing that the way they played against Dallas, I'm not sure McDevitt would have beaten them that day. Anyway, so yeah, no, he was a fun guy. It was said in jest, and of course we were laughing.
Would you rather a player lie to you and say, "Oh no, I respect him"? No, I don't think McDevitt wants that either. That's what sports is about. You're supposed to have some fun rivalries.
Absolutely, I'd run from Aliquippa too. Absolutely,
yeah, me as well.
I think he kind of undersells himself. He said he kind of he thought he ran like Isaiah Pacheco, but my dude, Isaiah Pacheco went to Rutgers. He's a great running back and all.
But I absolutely see what he's saying, because everyone jokes about Isaiah Pacheco, that they say Isaiah Pacheco runs like a cartoon character, like that's someone who's like mad at. People say Isaiah Pacheco runs like he's mad at the ground, and that's how Tikey Hayes runs. He runs like he's angry. I think it makes sense purely aesthetically.
I think he's more explosive though and more powerful.
Isaiah Pacheco's going as a top 10 fantasy running back this year, so get ready for.
I just wish he would have signed a jersey and gave it to Vice President Kamala Harris. That's what I wish.
Yeah, I don't know if that's there might be some campaign finance rules.
Oh yeah, in that world, yeah, of course you can't accept a $40 gift, I guess, right? Yeah.
Probably gets you in trouble somewhere, some way.
Dan, I wish you wouldn't have brought up fantasy football, but I'm glad you did, just so I can tell the world that Dan continues to duck me in both EA Sports College Football and fantasy football, as I've challenged as well.
You could have brought this up at the beginning. I don't even care anymore. We've been recording for like 3 hours.
I got two more things. Kind of what we did with the mid-pen. We're kicking this off. I don't know. I just feel excited about this football season a little more than others. And I think it's I'll admit I have not watched as much film as I have in the past. I used to watch everybody's film this year. I had some different responsibilities that PennLive has kept me from watching. Literally, I would watch everybody's film, almost everybody in the state, and I haven't got a chance to do that. But I do feel like there's some questions out there with some of the bigger teams, like the St. Joe's Prep. We know they got good players. I was looking at how they're rebuilding and kind of looking at what they're putting together there and what they're going to have. But it's not as spelled out as it has been in the past for them. I think there's a lot of mystery in places where there wasn't always mystery going into this season. I think it's going to be fun. Anything else you guys want to put out there into the world before this season kicks off statewide? Any predictions? Any thoughts?
I would just say to any fans that are listening, get out and watch football. Pay the $8. I know it's $8, whatever, but support these guys. I mean, that's been it's been a sort of a terrible trend over the last couple of years, is a drop in attendance. I know there's different ways to watch football games. Hell, we live stream now. Everybody's live streaming, or you can find it on your phone or whatever. But it's important to kind of kick in and help out these schools who are already running on tight budgets, and they rely on these home games to kind of supplement their budget and what they need to spend money on. And every high school, no matter how big or small, needs the added funds to help out. So I would say get out. If it's cold, bundle up. You can make it work. It just bolsters the atmosphere, between the cheerleaders and the bands, who work their tails off too to put on good shows. People run the concession stands. It matters that you show up and support your team. So I would just encourage all to do that.
Yep, I agree 100%. But if you don't go, make sure you watch our live streams that we do. So
exactly. If you want to read about stories, then make sure you go to PennLive and read the stories, because they're the best stories out there.
Yeah, I'll say that. I will say that, guys. It's no secret. Newspapers have struggled in the past, but I will say at PennLive, if you look, we just added a new preps reporter, Ramir. You guys will get to meet him.
Yeah.
We've added, I think, 2 or 3 full-time positions. Epler was here when I got here 8 years ago. Staff went down. It was me, Epler, and Aaron Carr at one point.
Yeah.
Aaron moved on. And now we're back out to where we got a new sports editor in Austin Herzog. We got Tom, Dan, Ramir, Evan, 5 guys just doing preps, right? And that's unheard of probably anywhere in the country. Okay. We hired a Pittsburgh Steelers beat writer, football out in Pittsburgh. We're growing. We figured some things out, but we appreciate the support. People that listen to this podcast. I would encourage you to keep supporting because, again, we're probably covering more sports with more people than anybody in the country. Okay. So we're full timers and we continue to try to grow. So we're excited about that. Dan, you were going to say something?
Echoing what Ep said, and then coaches, don't make us do another podcast where we complain about not getting the stats. That was a one-time thing, and I like talking about football more than hearing Brian boss people. Although Brian doesn't have to deal with that as much anymore. So now that he's mainly he's mainly working Friday nights now. So it's our duty now to kind of scream at the coaches and beg them to send us stats. So
PIAA, we want to be a serious football state. We got to have stat leaders for the state. I will tell everybody too, Friday night, tune in to PennLive.com. We're going to have a live stream, sort of like a Manning cast, as we kind of look at the first night of high school football with myself and the new sports editor, Austin Herzog. These guys will be out in the field. So definitely want to be following them on Twitter. We'll have live scoreboards. We'll have live streams. We'll have just a ton of stuff that we do on Friday nights. One last thing I did want to bring up to you guys as we go into this season. So much excitement. This is my favorite time of the year. I think it's a lot of you guys' favorite time of the year. I think it's Dan and Ed's probably favorite time of the year. We love this. But also last year was one of the most it was the most difficult high school football season I've ever covered from an injury standpoint. We had a kid die out in Jersey Shore, Max Engel. Terrible, terrible story. Mason Martin on the first week of the season, first night of the season, the Carn City quarterback suffered a head injury. He is still alive and still battling a year later. We don't know the full details on that situation. I'm guessing it's probably still a struggle. You don't want to guess on something like that, but I heard he was released from the hospital. Whatever the situation is there, I just want to say prayers up for everybody. Good vibes up for everybody to have a healthy season. Certainly don't want to see anything like last year. Still think about that kid a lot, guys. I had never talked to Mason Martin, but I wrote a lot about it when it happened. Still think about that kid a lot. And you love football, but as you get older, you hate to see the injuries. I think hit me a little bit harder as they get older. So I'm hoping we can not have that this year. And I'm going to say a few prayers for that. And I encourage everybody out there who listens to this podcast, as a kid playing or as a fan, to send up whatever you do, your good vibes, your prayers, or whatever, for a healthy season for all of these kids. A lot of them are out there to have fun, make memories that'll last them for a lifetime. A lot of them are out there to try to change their lives and their families' lives too. So, good, healthy season. Prayers up, prayers for the Martin family. That's all I got this week, guys.
all right.
Got anything else? Tell them how to find you on social media. You know the drill.
I'm at 3Jacker on X/Twitter/X.
Dan_Sostek on whatever it's called.
At Sports by B. Linder on X or Twitter. I prefer Twitter. PennLive.com. We're going to have tons of content on Friday, this first Football Friday. We got tons of content. These guys have been working their butts off, from features to eligibility hearings to storylines, schedules, anything you want to see. Top players in Pennsylvania. Going to have some of that stuff out there too. I even did, guys, I went back and I looked at the last 20 years of the Rivals' number one ranked players in the state and kind of saw how they kind of panned out, and maybe who should have been like number one. I'll say across that track, we had two guys who I think are certified Hall of Famers. Rob Gronkowski at Woodland Hills, and who am I forgetting? Why is it slipping my LaShawn
Donald.
Aaron Donald at Penn Hills. Yep,
Gronk's kind of cheating though. He was only there for 1 year.
Yeah. But here's the key. Now that Donald and Rob Gronkowski were the number one player in the class.
Well, Aaron Donald was a 2-star recruit, so
yeah. So that's a fun kind of look down memory lane. I like to do stuff like that. So go check that on Penn Live. And like I said, these guys got a ton of stuff for next week. Let's put the 2 podcasts next week. I'll have a team and Ep and Dan going to the studio so Dan can avoid me talking about EA college sports.
yeah.
Line it up, Dan.
No.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.